Hello, today I will be talking about what I believe to be a contender for the best and easiest build that can complete the Gauntlet on any difficulty. So I just thought that I should say that this video contains spoilers for future redeemed and the mystery awards that you get for completing that. And of course, I will be showing the spoiler heroes for completing base Xenoblade 3. So this will be showing pretty much everything that can be considered spoilers, so if you haven't beaten the game yet, please do. And now back to the video. Along with that build, I will be covering the two other strategies that are less good but follow the same idea, with that being auto attacks. Now I know it sounds crazy that you were able to beat the Gauntlet without even needing to use any arts, but that's what I plan to show off in this video. After all three builds have been talked about, I will be showing the simplified build graphic that I've made to show them off easier, so for most of the video it will just be footage of the Gauntlet. But before any of that, I need to talk about what the heck the Gauntlet actually is. The Gauntlet is a roguelike game mode in Xenoblade 3 where you venture into the depths while acquiring emblems that give you stat boosts and other fun effects. Such as, when team includes 3+ non-Kavesi/Agnians, boost their attack and party launch charge build. Effect increases per person. Okay, well, maybe not that one. Anyway, outside of the Gauntlet you can buy permanent emblem upgrades for Blue Nopon Stone which can be obtained from completing stages of the Gauntlet. These upgrades are simple and bring the emblem up to level 3 when you first buy them instead of level 1. In this case, level 3 is going to be Emblem Effect plus 2, because the first level just doesn't have a plus after the emblem name. Along with emblems in the Gauntlet shop, you can also buy heroes, and heroes are the only form of party members in the Gauntlet, so no more Ouroboros pals. The heroes that you find in the Gauntlet get access to all of their arts outside of chain attacks, so it doesn't matter which art you give them. But the accessories matter a lot, and sometimes make or break a Gauntlet run. Right now, I'm going to cover the basics and hero accessories for the Gauntlet, and of course these aren't law, and a lot of these accessories can be changed around for certain builds, but for 90% of builds, these are the types of accessories I would throw onto heroes depending on their arts and role type. For anyone with a break art, I would equip a break brooch onto them for the best use of combos. Break brooches can be gotten from defeating or bursting Blazing Carlos in the Syria Hovering Reefs. For anyone with a topple or launch art, you can give them a topple or launch duration boosting accessory, and these accessories can be gotten from buying a Tyrant Ring from the Blue Nopon page in the Land of Challenge, and for a Platinum Belt you just need to defeat Phantom Straya in the Asia region, and on the map he is right here. A very good accessory for every single hero can be the Shield Belt. The Shield Belt lowers the damage received by 30%, but also lowers the damage dealt by 50%. Since heroes aren't going to be the main source of damage with of course a few exceptions, this is an amazing accessory that will allow your heroes to live a lot longer. The Shield Belt can be bought from the Blue Nopon page in the Land of Challenge. Another fantastic accessory that you can put on almost any hero and have them succeed is going to be the Fraternal Badge. It will give that hero a 50% art recharge buff whenever a defender isn't being targeted, and if you aren't playing a defender class, you're going to be having aggro most of the time, so they get a free 50% art recharge buff. The Fraternal Badge can be bought from the Blue Nopon page in the Land of Challenge. Now for the role-specific accessories. For healers, I recommend any type of healing percent buff, so at the best, the Solace Rings, but most likely either the Circlet of All-Knowing or the Circlet of Enlightenment. The Circlet of All-Knowing can be bought from the Red Nopon page in the Land of Challenge. Next for healers is the Immaculate Necklace, which will boost the effectiveness of their healing by 22%, which will give them a massive boost to their healing. The Immaculate Necklace can be gotten from defeating Taskmaster Empyrean right here. The last accessory that you can use for healers that give them a direct buff is a Masha accessory, which I know. The scary monster which uses RNG named Masha is required for an accessory, but if you do want to get this accessory, it is only a 0.85% chance to get it from the color type accessories. So I don't recommend you get this accessory and just settle with either using an HP percent accessory like the Titanium Temple Guard, which can be bought in the Land of Challenge from the Red Nopon page, or the previously mentioned Shield Belt. Now with defender heroes, there isn't really anything special. All there is to give them is the Shield Belt and an HP percent accessory. All of the defender heroes have a reaction art, so giving them the duration extender accessories is always a good call, and you might be asking what about Monica, because she has Smash, which can't have its duration extended, and to that I say, don't use Monica. Ever. Now that that's out of the way, the attackers probably have the most leeway when it comes to choosing accessories, because some of them will want shield belts and others will want fraternal badges. Or you could just run both and call it a day. With some builds you will want to have some of your attackers run the Memory Locket accessory, which allows them to revive allies as if they were healers. You should only really use this one if you're planning on not running any healers. Only a single Memory Locket can be obtained each run of the game from the Cascade hook that can be found right here. Of course, when running any attacker here, you can give them an attack percent accessory, which can be found in the Land of Challenge from the Red Nopon page. I do have Rex carrying a set of Mercury rings because of his insane crit rate, but that's just an exception. Now that we're done with covering hero accessories, let's talk about what heroes are good. This isn't going to be a super comprehensive guide on the heroes, but I like to look at this tier list when deciding what heroes to bring, because you almost always want to play into your character's race and their class rule type, because if you can stack both focus and zeal emblems, you will almost always do crazy damage. I will go more in depth than just showing a tier list than not really going into it, but don't worry, later I will be saying what heroes to use and why when we get into the actual builds. For starters, I will be talking about the safe version of a martial artist build. The reason that this build is safe is because we bring along some healers and the kit itself is focused around itself and not the party. I recommend building this on a Kevesi character and specifically Noah because he has the best mix of stats, but honestly it doesn't matter if you pick Lons or Uni. We don't care about arts right now because we're going to just be auto attacking, so we can just skip those. For master skills, you need to have critical strike, which will make your critical hits more effective, and this master skill comes from the Flash Fencer class. Next is Ultimate Qigong, and this will allow you to pierce defense, which without going into too much detail will just allow you to hit a lot harder, and this master skill comes from the Thaumaturge class. Lastly, we have Eye for weak points, which for every hit becomes a higher critical rate buff, up to doubling our crit rate, and since we're going to be auto attacking non-stop, this will add up quick. This master skill is from the Incursor class. Moving on to gems, and I feel like this part is pretty self-explanatory, but I'll cover it anyway. First, we have Analyze Weakness, which similarly to Critical Strike will just make our crits hit harder. Next is Steady Striker, and this is very important to this build because it will allow us to auto attack 40% faster at level 10, and lastly we have Double Strike, which will give us a 40% chance to have our auto attacks hit twice, which is very nice. Now moving on to accessories, we have Saturnian Rings, which is pretty obvious for an attacking build because it boosts our attack stat by 40%. It can be found right here in the Cadencia region. Next we have the Archsage's Flower Fan, which boosts our HP and attack stats by 30% so we hit even harder and live a bit longer. This can be gotten by getting an S rank on every single challenge the Archsage has. This can be done on any difficulty, so even easy will work. If you don't have this accessory, then a Warped White Brooch will work to substitute for it until you get the Flower Fan. Lastly, I have this amazing Masha accessory which boosts auto attack damage by 125% and gives 11 flat crit rate. This accessory had a 0.004736% chance of being crafted though, so if you don't want to try to go for it, I understand, and you can substitute it for a Violent Stone, which is just a worse version of that accessory. The Violent Stone can be gotten by defeating Unobtrusive Iggy right here in the Cadencia region. All of these accessories can be replaced by a better version of a Masha accessory, but once again, you have a higher chance to be struck by a lightning, so if you just want to go with the legendary variant of those previously stated items, go for it. So now that you have the build made, we need to cover heroes, and in the order that I recommend prioritizing getting them, but the order that you actually get them in doesn't really matter, but if you have a choice between two, you'll know which one to buy. In the first two stages of the Gauntlet, you will always get heroes for free, and if you don't get the ones you want, then you can hold the minus button and retry to get two heroes you need. For the starting two heroes, I recommend getting Nia and Masha, because Nia has amazing healing capabilities along with her class skill Abundant Oceans, reducing the damage you take, thus letting you live longer. Masha is for her class skill Beaming Edge, which boosts critical damage by another 50 percentage points and boosts critical rate by 20%. I feel like it's pretty easy to see why Masha is an amazing hero to pick for the Gauntlet with her utility involving critical hits. The next hero that I recommend getting would have to be Melia. Melia has another party affecting skill in Essence of Ether. Essence of Ether boosts damage dealt by the whole party by 30% and goes into the additive pool, which just means that it's not actually that crazy, but an extra 30% is always good. It also drops the enemy's block rate by 50%, which can be pretty useful against certain enemies. Melia also has a topple art, which will allow enemies to be combo locked, which is always good. So with Melia, you'll be dealing more damage overall, and she'll be contributing to focus attackers and Kevesi Zeal, so she's really good for this build. Next up is Riku and Manana, but mainly Riku. In the Gauntlet, Riku and Manana have the unique trait of belonging to both Kevesi and Agnian races. This allows you to have them no matter what and have them contribute to Zeal. Riku and Manana also have a break art, which allows them to stop the enemies from getting arts that might one-shot. Although, if I'm being honest, dying isn't even an issue, because with the Rescue to Attack emblem, you then come back and hit harder than before. You don't even need to wait for the Martial Artist auto attack skill to come back, because for some reason, that skill doesn't get reset on deaths or through stages. Back to Riku and Manana though. Similarly to Melia, they contribute to both focused attackers and Kevesi Zeal, which at max is a massive damage buff. The next hero is Ethel. With Ethel, Kevesi Zeal will finally activate because she is the 4th Kevis member. Ethel is also capable of dealing massive damage and even utilizing Smash, which will allow combo to attack to become useful. Besides providing good damage along with being emblem fodder for both focused attackers and Kevis Zeal, like the other heroes, she isn't anything special, but that doesn't mean you don't need her. Her damage cannot be understated, but in the end, we'll be doing most of the damage, so we only really need her to fuel the big attack emblems. Lastly, we have Rex. Rex is probably the most utility in the game, with having big damage, a topple art, and even a launch art. While he doesn't boost Kevesi Zeal, it barely matters. I've had some runs where he manages to outdamage me and take aggro. And if he does take aggro and die, the rescue to attack emblem gets more use, which is always a good thing. Rex is pretty self-explanatory on why he's good, since he doesn't directly contribute to our damage as much as a Kevis attacker, though he is last on the priority list. Now with heroes being covered, I should say that the order you get them in doesn't really matter, and as long as you get them, you'll be fine. In some of my runs, I've been unable to get the desired heroes and had to make do with what I had. An example of this is actually in the footage that's been in the background for most of this video so far. I'd taken Sagiri instead of Riku and Manana, which did hurt my survivability, but as you can see it didn't matter too much because I was able to work around it, and since she was still a Kevis attacker, she still allowed me to output good damage with focused attackers and Kevesi Zeal. Moving on from heroes now for a bit, we can talk about the emblems. The emblems that you need are really simple to understand, but let me break it down to an even easier level. If you see one of these, take them. If you see one of these 3, take this one, and here's my easy to follow tier list of what to take. Pretty much skip all of these ones, and I recommend you buy all of these whenever they show up. After stage 70, I recommend you start building up Moneybag stacks because at max level and points, it is just a 6 times damage boost to your damage, and that's pretty nice. If you're wondering on how to get a lot of points to buy things or contribute to Moneybags, I always recommend using a launch charge when you're about to defeat any enemies with high values. These enemies are lucky monsters such as Pepitos or Oddles, and also bosses. Every 10 stages there are bosses that give you a lot of points, so doubling them is always nice. If you use bonus time and defeat every boss with it, you will be receiving up to 100 or even 2,000 extra points. This is somewhat reliant on your no KO bonus and other score emblems, but regardless, if you ask me, that is a lot of points. Other emblems that you need are obvious, and if you don't have some of them unlocked from the blue Nopon page, just try to get through Pro Easy Gauntlet first. The 50% health is really nice for first clear, and also this will help you get used to using the build, as it is a bit funky to get used to with all of the auto attacks and launch charge timings. I have some small strategies that I've found in the Gauntlet with emblems that may help you understand what emblems to use and buy, but they're nothing super in depth, but they should apply to almost all builds in the Gauntlet. First we have the chain attack utility, and pretty much we just buy refund chain along with the attack up after use emblem, then just cancel the chain attack immediately. This will give us the attack bonus from the attack up after use emblem, but also give us a good chunk of our chain attack back. In other builds you might want to actually use arts, but here it would actually hurt us if we did arts, because then our auto attack frequency would drop until we hit enough again. Another small thing with emblems are the curses. A lot of them will say things like lowers max HP by X%, and those really don't matter. Once they drop you to 100% less max HP, you will be at 1 HP, assuming you haven't picked up a single other max HP boosting emblem. I always recommend buying the curse emblems, as curse to attack and curse to recharge are amazing even if we aren't doing arts. There's only one curse I would recommend skipping out on this build, just for safety reasons, and that would have to be Focus Roll Unity. We really want to keep Nia's art recharge up, so dropping it would not do us any favors. I think that covers it for emblems with that build, and I think that's all I have to cover for that build because it's so easy to use. Thankfully the next build is almost identical, so let me go into that. The ultra offensive high damage output auto attack build that I personally find the most fun to use is almost the exact same build as the previously mentioned one, but we swap out the master skill Eye for weak points with Beaming Edge, which is a master skill from the Lapidaris class. While that may hurt your crit rate a little bit, I do believe it's worth it considering we aren't bringing Masha along with us. And you may be wondering who we're bringing if we aren't bringing Masha, and to that I say Kevis attackers, plus one Agnian, but don't worry about him. I'm not going to lie, the order does not matter here, but I do recommend getting Melia in the first 2 stages and maybe Riku and Manana for breaking, but it actually doesn't matter. The heroes we are going to want are Melia, Ethel, Riku and Manana, Triton, Sagiri, and Rex. The amount of damage we build up from these 6 heroes will be insane and will allow anyone to clear the gauntlet on any difficulty. Almost everything still applies from the last build, but now you can take Focus Roll Unity if you want, because that is a lot of recharge you're going to get for 7 attacker classes. The main thing with this build that is different from the last is that we definitely need Absorb HP. This one emblem will either be the reason your run lives or dies. We are doing so much damage that we can pretty much out-heal any healers even if we had any, and we shouldn't die unless we get hit by a 60,000 damage move from an enemy. And if that does happen, you may be wondering if we're just screwed because there aren't any healers to revive us, but you simply equip your heroes with memory lockets and a shield belt, so they shouldn't be dying and they can revive you. There really isn't much else to say about this because I was going to cover it all here, but the first build kind of covered it. But now we're moving on to the final build, and I promise it's not another martial artist build. It's Zephyr, surprisingly. Now you may be wondering how the heck does Zephyr have any auto tech potential, and I know the title is a bit misleading now with this build, but we have to use a stance art, but the other 2 builds didn't use any art, so I think it's fine. Speed Demon is the single art that you have to use if you want to make this build work. You can fuse it with Shadow Eye so that you get an attack buff, but it doesn't really matter. We're going to be doing a very funny evasion build, and I know it may sound similar to another evasion build that is commonly used in the Gauntlet, but I promise, it's completely different because we're using an Agnian class. I know, how crazy. This build is completely built around the accessories as they supply us with most of our evasion. The way that evasion is counted is as a separate stat than agility. While agility is compared to the enemy's dexterity to see if you will be hit, the evasion stat is a completely different thing, and if it says that you have a 10% chance to evade something, like the Tactician Master Skill Inevitable Evitability, you have a flat 1 in 10 chance to not be hit, which is incredibly broken. The character that we are going to be using is Mio, because of the weapon stat increase she gets from using Zephyr, and the only art we care about is Speed Demon. Nothing else matters. The master skills that we want are Eye for Weak Points, Critical Strike, and Ultimate Qigong. The exact same skills as the first safer martial artist build, and for the same reasons, crit damage and crit rate, and then defense piercing. It's pretty simple. The gems are going to be Analyze Weakness, Double Strike, and Steady Striker. The exact same gems from the other 2 builds. Now we can finally move on to the different things. Accessories. We are using the Metal Foot Protector, which gives us 22% evasion when auto-attacking, so pretty much all the time. The Metal Foot Protector can be gone from defeating Hornbow Dante, who is right here in the Sierra hovering reefs. The next accessory is a Feather Mizanga and will give us a 27% chance to evade and when under 30% health. This accessory is really good because being a defender class we inherently have really good bulk, and Zephyr especially has really good ether bulk. The Feather Mizanga can be gone from defeating Gracious Titania, who is right here in Pentalus. The next accessory is going to be a Masha auto attack accessory, or Violent Stone if you don't have one. So with those accessories alone, we have a 49% chance to evade all attacks, which is pretty good, but we can do better. With Speed Demon, we go up to a 79% chance to evade all attacks, which is amazing odds, but we can get another 20% from Miyabi because of her party-wide skill, Swift Song. This skill will give the entire party 20% chance to evade and 20% chance to hit no matter what. In this build, and a lot of other builds, Miyabi is amazing for her supportive capabilities with this skill alone. So with all of those evasion increases, that leaves us at 97% evasion, which isn't actually 99% evasion, but I couldn't find anywhere what the max evasion stat is, so I'm just going to assume it's like Xenoblade 2, where it's 97%, or it could even be 90% because it's Xenoblade 3, but I don't know. But what I do know is that this build has cleared Hard Pro, and my knowledge is the only defender to do so. So it does work. The heroes that you want for this build are a bit strange, but they work. In order of priority, we need Miyabi. Miyabi's Silk Song allows this build to work, so she is an absolute necessity in this build, and you should always get her in the first 2 stages. Next is Nia, and she provides 2 utilities. First, she's Agnian, so we get more Agnian Zeal, but she also helps us stay alive if we do get hit. She's the best pure healer in the game, and her being Agnian really helps us out here. After that, the order doesn't matter because they all provide some sort of utility. Those 4 heroes being Masha, Rex, Alexandria, or Riku and Manana, and Shulk. That's probably the order I would grab them in if you do come across 2, but it doesn't matter too much. Masha is amazing for crit utility as previously stated. Alexandria and Riku and Manana are interchangeable as they both count towards Agni and Zeal and both have a break art. If I had to choose though, I would probably choose Alexandria as she has higher damage output than Riku and Manana. Shulk is a bit of an oddball, but without an actual Agni defender in the Gauntlet, we are stuck with him. He has good utility with Armor Veil and a break art, but I mostly chose him for the little increase of focused defenders that we get because we need as much HP as we can get in case we do get hit. Rex is easy to understand as he does good damage and is Agnian. That's the heroes for this build, and here are the emblems that are essential. The other emblems are amazing, besides these ones, don't get those. You can use the same strategies with the attack up after use as the other builds use because it's just that good. I recommend you get focused attackers even though we aren't an attacker class just so that Rex can help output damage as this build can be a bit lackluster in the damage department. So something that I do need to mention though is how to use Speed Demon properly because the other 2 builds didn't use arts, but this one does. So Speed Demon should only really be used on boss stages or any stage after 100 and used immediately. It might run out during a stage, and if that's the case, just use it after the enemy attacks and then spam R3 for a quick dash at the animation so that you can get back to auto attacking. These guides should be looked at as a stepping stone into the Gauntlet. It is a roguelike after all, and the most fun you can have is finding out a way to beat it by yourself. I simply put these builds out here because I had fun making them and theory crafting them. I do want to give a small shout out to someone that helped me theory craft these builds and even helped me test them and improve them. So big thanks goes out to Just a Moose. I couldn't have done it without him, and now that this video is pretty much over, I implore you to subscribe if you like this video, as this video took a while to make with finding all the accessory locations and doing the different Gauntlet runs. Leave any comments with suggestions if you want me to cover more things with the Gauntlet, as I have a lot of ways to clear the Gauntlet, and I have fun making these videos. So thank you for watching, till next time.